is July the 8th, and I'm so glad you're with me. I'm in beautiful Maine, so I'm just so blessed and happy that I'm able to do the thing that I love in a beautiful location. I'm looking out my window, and it looks like a freaking woodland, Bambi wonderland, chipmunks, birds, beautiful woods. And it's all because I have an ethical, profitable, sustainable practice. And I'm going to teach you how to do that too. So I often say in July or the summertime, our business goes down. It's an amazing time to take your head out of the business aspect, get your shit together, and prepare for the time to come, right? I usually say right around the first report card, that's when we start seeing our business pick up again. Now, that's not to say that's the case for everybody, but it is a great time. Summertime's a wonderful time to take your vacations, to take that sabbatical you've been thinking about, all of the things that help you plan for the upcoming year, because that's what I'm trying to teach you. If you don't make plans, if you don't set intentions, it's really hard to sustain your practice. And what do you need to do? You've got to be sustainable. You guys are too important. Your community is going to grow to rely on you. Those of you who are graduate students and you're thinking about private practice and you're like, okay, what do I want to do? What color curtains do I pick out? What color pillows? What, how much equipment can I buy? No, 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 no. We want you to have practice that's sustainable, that earns you a profit, helps you make a living, take a vacation, retire, all the things, so that you can stay in business. You are a mental health provider. We don't have mental health filled in completely in the state of Texas. We have tons of gaps, so we need you. Everything on this site, Texas Counselors Creating Badass Businesses, is about giving you the resources you need to do your job and to do it well and to stay in business, okay? So I'm going to give you free stuff. Yeah, I might charge you $25 so that you show up to something if I have a badass business meeting, but really most of the stuff on this site, because there are members in this group willing to mentor you. 10-week practice challenge, and I talked with some folks, and I think I'm going to give away one $500 grant. Then I'm going to take another $500 and break it into smaller grants. So I just thought, I don't know. I mean, I was thinking, okay, so we've had tons of entries. We've had a lot of people turn in stories. Your stories are remarkable. I'm so happy that you got into this field, because remember, everybody has a story that got them into this, right? Your story is your power. So you're sending the stories in. Week 1 challenge was, what's your story? You send those to kwtrainingit@gmail.com, kwtrainingit@gmail.com. It's not too late to do that. You can still send us your story and get that week 1 challenge. Check. Done. This week's challenge is, what did you do? How did you do it right? We want to know. And in fact, it's funny because we were talking about what would be something kind of funny and easy. So we created a thread about how you named your practice. We want to know if the name you have is the name you started with. So we will be, oh, Janelle says that we're getting disconnected. Okay, let me check my internet connection. I know what will help. I'm going to turn that off. All right, so give me a thumbs up if we have a better connection now. Anybody out there, give me a thumbs up and let me know if we got a better connection. Yeah, it looks like we're having some connection problems. Hopefully that got fixed. All right, so if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. If you can see me, give me a thumbs up. I may have to switch Wi-Fi, but I'm still going to tell you how to do your second week challenge, right? Again, I'm going to give away one $500 practice grant. Then I'm going to take another $500 and break it into smaller grants. Seems to be better now. Awesome. Okay, I think I had too many devices connected to my Wi-Fi. All right, so I will be doing today we're going to talk about how You'll get it wrong, and that's okay. We're going to talk about LLC in retirement are a thing. But first of all, my favorite part, let's welcome the new badasses. We had 6 new badasses this week. We've got Molly McCann, Kimberly Willis, Demetra Pugh, Anna Beth Reed, Iris Arnold Kuykendall, and Kristen Holmes. Welcome to the Badass Group. Let's get to work. I don't know how many badasses are going to stay with me all the way to the end of this challenge. I hope I have a ton. One person is going to win $500 to get their practice up to speed. We're going to divide the rest of another $500 out into smaller practice grants. So remember, week 1 was your story. Week 2 is do it right the first time. Do it right the first time. This is from my book, My Next Steps, Create a Counseling Career You'll Love. I talk about getting it right the first time. When you start something new, you're going to make expensive mistakes. It's inevitable. I don't care if you're starting a lemonade stand, an Avon business, or a counseling practice. You're going to make mistakes that are expensive. It's okay. It's part of the process. Plan for that. That's why we talk about, when we get to the money part of this, we're going to talk about a financial bridge. How to bridge from what you're doing to the dream, what you want to do. And so it's really easy to get locked up into this. I have to get it perfect. I have to do it right the first time. Well, getting it right the first time sometimes means planning for the inevitable expensive mistake. I can't tell you how many people say, well, I'm going to just build my own website. And I just kind of zip my lip and I think, okay, go for it. Build your own website. But 9 times out of 10, those folks come back later and say, yeah, I had to help. had to have some help with the SEO, or I had to have some help with the programming. For me personally, I have 2 majorly big, robust websites, and they get hacked occasionally, or I have something weird, an update goes on with a plugin and my website goes down for 24 hours. If I didn't have somebody that I could have on speed dial to say, help, my website is got it right the first time. I asked for help building the website. So we're going to talk about 3 things today. Number 1, you'll get it wrong the first time, and that's okay. Let's talk about the name. So for instance, my name initially for my business, and I put it in the thread, was All About the Family. So for those of you my age, you'll remember there was a show back in the 70s called All in the Family. And I thought, oh, isn't that cute? It's a play on words, all about the family. I'm a family therapist. It's what I want to do. It sounds great. Well, then I started my PhD program, and in my internship, I worked with folks with chronic pain. And I thought, no, I need a wellness approach. I need something that screams, you're not sick, you're getting better. Not that All in the Family screamed you're sick, but I thought, okay, my last name is Walker. And back in the day, we had these big, thick things called phone books. And if your name was Walker, you're going to be at the back of the phone book. There's no SEO optimization. There's no Google trick to get me to the front. If your last name is W, you're in the back, and that's where you stay. So I chose an A name in order to get to the front of the listing. So Achieve Balance was my attempt to create a wellness-focused counseling practice, as opposed to All About the Family, which to me sounded like, okay, my family's sick and they need to go to therapy. Funny thing, I was also creating this name about the same time a guy named Mattress Mac. So if you know that name, you live in Houston. He was doing the Mattress Mac, the galleryfurniture.com bowl. And I thought, well, that's weird. Why would he put .com in the name of this football stadium playoff, whatever, sporting event? The gallery.com bowl. And I thought, well, that's brilliant, because the internet was still, in its first decade, and people didn't know, .com automatically like we do now. And so he named the thing, the gallery.com dot-com bowl. So I named my company achievebalance.org. Achievebalance.com was taken, and it's kind of a weird site. So if you go there, that's not me. I'm .org, .org, achievebalance.org. And that became the name. It became what we call a DBA. D as in David, B as in boy, A as in alpha. That's doing business as. So I kept all about the family as my LLC and my achievebalance.org as my DBA. And as I added more names and businesses, it evolved and changed as well. And one of the things I like to tell people, about every 14 years, I go through sort of this, what do I want to be when I grow up? And so what you choose now isn't necessarily going to fit you in 14 years, 10 years. So getting it right the first time with your name, it's okay if it changes. It's okay if you change your mind and you feel something different. And that brings me to my second. Is to find your name, grab it, online. And that was amazing. If you could find your name and put a .com after it, that was just the holy grail. That was awesome. Very, very hard to do that now. So we have .cc's, .ca's, all kinds of things. So find your domain name, but the LLC, or if you have your license, PLLC. In Texas, they want you to have a P, a professional LLC, if you have a license. That protects your assets. So when you, and please, I'm not a lawyer, I don't play one on TV, so ask an attorney for actual legal advice. Rate might be too low. I hope you're listening to this. I hope you're able to see this. I might need to rebroadcast this with better Wi-Fi. So anyway, back to the LLC or the PLLC, that allows you to protect your assets. DBA, that allows you to bank. That allows you to go to a bank and say, hi, this is my business name. I'm going to establish a business banking account. Honestly, nowadays, you don't even have to have that either. What you do for the DBA is you go to your city office, you stand in line, and you fill out a piece of paper. It costs you $10, and you have to renew it every 10 years to keep that name. So I have a little item in my calendar that literally pops up every 10 years and tells me, hey, it's time to renew your DBA. I go down, I fill out the paperwork, and I make sure that I keep my name. Now, nowadays, your domain name does that for you, right? So the DBA, is it necessary? I don't know. As long as you have a domain name or a bank like Capital One lets you open 2 checking accounts, and you fill it up, you fill out all the paperwork so they know you're a person, and you can do your banking. So it's just up to you. If you have a name that you don't really like and you landed on it a few years ago and you want to change it, but you don't want to change all the legal paperwork with your LLC and your PLLC, sometimes a DBA is a really nice way to just kind of go with the flow and say, okay, this is me now. I feel like this DBA really speaks more to what I want my business to be. So last but not least, starting off doing it right. Do your banking. Now that you have a way to take money and pay your bills, all right, that's what banking is. You're going to take money from your clients, and you're going to take the money and you're going to pay your rent, and you're going to keep the lights on. Now it's time to make sure you're taking money and you're putting it into retirement and your taxes. Do that from day one. It's so hard in 12 months to go back and write a check for $10,000 because you didn't think you were going to make any money this year. Generally, if you make $1,000 a month, and this is so general, it depends on your family size, it depends on your partner's income, but if you make about $1,000 a month, you will now have to pay taxes. Less than $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year, you won't owe taxes, right? So just plan that you're going to kick ass. Plan that you're going to have income and set aside 10% of every bit that you take in every month and put it in an account for taxes. I know with Capital One, I'm able to have like as many bank accounts as I want to. I have 2 checking accounts and I have several savings accounts. And one of my savings accounts says taxes. And I'll make sure I push the money over there. So the rest of the month, I can put it into my retirement account. So getting it right the first time means being mindful and knowing you've got to take this money and it's not yours yet. I know so many counselors starting out, they mix money, right? They have one account, and if their if their client gives them a $50 bill, they stick it in their pocket. Then they go to, Stop and Go and they buy a loaf of bread and some milk and a, 6-pack and take it home. What you just did is you just mixed your money, right? And now when it comes time to pay taxes, you don't have any way of tracking that income versus a business expense, et cetera, right? You must keep that money separate. You must keep your business account separate from your personal family expenses. So when we talk about number 1, getting it right the first time with your name, I think we all get it wrong the first time. So please, for week 2, what I want you to do is post in the thread, and we've got this here on the Badass Business page. Week 2 challenge. Did you get it right the first time? Tell us the first name you chose for your practice and the name you landed on for good. So we want to know what your dream name was and then what you decided on later. And how did you do that? So did you establish your dream name like I did as your LLC and then just create a bunch of DBAs after that? See, LLCs protect your assets, so they're more expensive. They require paperwork. They require filing this paperwork. So you want to make sure that if you want to participate in week 2, you're going to add to the thread. We want to know what you named your practice at first and then what you landed on. So as I said, mine was all about the family. Then I changed it DBA, doing business as achievebalance.org. I kept .org in the name. And then I had a nonprofit and I called it Ann's Place. And then I started my training business and I created a different LLC called Kate Walker Training. And then I'm even toying with this idea. The next one is I want to start something with my husband, and I want to call it Mick Walker Ventures, right? My maiden name is McLellan. My married name is Walker. I want to combine the two together. So it's fun. It's fun to come up with these names as we kind of grow and evolve as people. You're not going to stay the same. Your business name doesn't have to stay the same either. You just have to remember the LLC, PLLC, that's formal, that's legal. The DBA, that's just a trip down to your, wherever you file your inspection, not your inspection, what's that called? Your title in your community, right? It's the same line you stand in. Or just do what I do. It's not good. I don't have a problem. But I love buying domain names. And then last but not least, taxes and retirement, right? The reason you have an LLC, the reason you have a DBA is so you can bank. It's so you can take money in and pay your bills and pay yourself and pay your taxes and pay your retirement. You must keep that money separate. Personal account, over here is your business account. If you need a DBA, LLC, whatever alphabet soup to create that business account, or if you can go to Capital One and just create a checking account called business, do that. But you must have a way to track expenses from day one. Okay? That's how to do it right the first time. Now, next week, I'm going to talk about mistakes. Mistakes are kind of my jam. I like to talk about mistakes. But next week, I will talk about our 3rd week practice challenge. Please hang in here with us. We're tracking you. We're writing your names down. When you post in the thread, you are automatically entered into winning. Now, you have to participate all 10 weeks in order to get the big practice grant or to be eligible for one of the smaller $500 divided up grants. But even if you just participate 1 week, we're going to have a special gift for you, right? You can't walk away from Texas Counselors creating badass businesses with nothing, because that's not what we're here to do. We're here to give you the resources so that you can create an ethical, profitable, sustainable practice. Why? Because you're too important to lose. Your community is depending on you. If you're a graduate student or you're a school counselor or you're in an agency and you haven't made the leap yet, when you do, you're going to create a practice that's so badass. Your community is going to need you. They're going to rely on you. You practice. And you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have I will give you, I'm not going to sell you, I'm going to give you the resources you need to keep your practice going. We live in Texas. We have too many gaps in rural areas that need providers like you. My mission is to get you out there, get you practicing and filling those gaps for a long time. I don't want you burning out, right? Hashtag counselors don't quit. So this week, I want you to fill in the thread, the name of the practice you started with, and then the name of the practice you landed on. That's our week 2 challenge. And then if you want to go back and do the week 1 challenge, go for it. Email your story to kwtrainingit, and then next week I'll get to you with our week 3 challenge. Thanks for joining me today. This is Dr. Kate